Hello and welcome to SmiteGuru's newest video series. We plan to go over everything that we can and there's a lot to cover, so let's get started. My name is JakoMalfoy and this is the God's Guide to Smite. Smite is your basic MOBA, but with a twist. Its gameplay view is third person rather than the traditional top-down like you're seeing now. This makes almost every move, every auto attack, and ability a skill shot. On top of that, every character has its origins and pantheons from around the world, including Norse, Greek, and Roman. The Mini-Map and Smite, unlike other MOBAs, is not static, meaning that it changes depending on what side you start on. If you start on the blue side, also known as the order side of the map, then that side of the map will be oriented towards the bottom. Whereas if you start on the red or chaos side of the map, then that side of the map will be oriented towards the bottom. Keep this in mind as we go on and in future videos, because that means that what is on the left for one team is on the right for the other. Moving on to the game itself, Smite has 3 lanes with a jungle containing experience and buff camps in between each lane and main objectives across the map. The main game mode is entirely objective based. Kills are important, but it's capturing the enemy's base by destroying their titan that really matters. Each lane has 2 towers and 1 phoenix. All towers start with 2000 HP. As you approach your enemy base, you will come to the tier 1 tower. When destroyed, tier 1 towers give 100 experience and 100 gold to each team member. Next is the tier 2 tower that gives 200 experience and 300 gold to each team member when destroyed. You can see that towers will immediately begin attacking enemies who step in a range, but only attack one enemy at a time and target NPCs first unless a player does damage to an enemy god. When Thor attacks the enemy Ra, the tower immediately changes its focus and attacks Thor until Thor leaves the tower line. If there are 2 players attacking an enemy within the tower range, the tower will remain targeted until the first player who attacked, without moving onto the second player until the targeted player leaves the tower line. This allows for tankier players to absorb more damage so that the squishier players can deal damage in relative safety. Tower shots cannot be blocked and deal more damage with each hit. Next are the phoenixes, which function identically to towers but have 2500 HP. When destroyed, a phoenix will give 150 gold to each team member and will begin to regenerate and will respawn 4 minutes later with a quarter of their HP, deal half damage to enemies, and have half max HP. In addition, if you destroy the phoenix, all of your NPCs who spawn in that lane will be given fire weapons and will have more health and deal more damage than the standard NPCs. The final objective of the game is the Titan. The Titan is the most complex objective in the game because its stats are dependent on what objectives are left on the map. The more phoenixes and towers still on the map, the more health and protections the Titan has. It also cannot take any damage outside of its leash range. Titans will work the same way as towers and phoenixes, targeting NPCs at first unless a player attacks an enemy god. One more thing to mention, tier 2 towers are immune to damage as long as the tier 1 tower in that lane stands. Phoenixes are immune to damage so long as the tier 2 towers in that lane stand, and titans are immune to damage as long as 3 phoenixes stand. We've mentioned them and now it's time to talk about them, the NPCs commonly called minions or creeps. Starting at the beginning of the game, after the brief countdown, 6 minions will spawn. There will be 3 melee minions and 3 archer minions. These will spawn every 30 seconds and will work their way up the lane until they come to an enemy. If an enemy god is in range, the minions will attack that enemy god until enemy minions come into range. Similarly to towers, if a player attacks an enemy god while in range of the minions, like this Ra does, they will switch their targeting to that player for a short time. Be careful, minions deal tons of damage early on, so just don't do that. Sometimes you'll see a larger melee minion, known as a brute minion, spawn instead of a normal size one. These have more damage, protections, and health than the normal melee minions do. Smite also takes advantage of a function known as last hits. This means that a player has dealt the killing blow to the enemy minion. While players get regular gold spooling, 3 gold per second, minion deaths also provide gold and are the primary source of experience for most roles. Melee minions, including Brute, provide 65 experience and 17 gold, and Archer minions provide 45 experience and 12 gold, so long as a player is within range. If a player lands the last hit onto the minions, then the melee and Brute minions will give 25 gold, and Archer minions will provide 18 gold. This means that each wave of minions can be worth as much as 330 experience and 129 gold if a player gets every last hit. That wraps up this video for this week. We want to give a special shout out to the Word of Thoth, which provided us with a lot of info for this video. It's written by a man that goes by Flare Boot. Links to the page and his Twitter in the description. There's a ton of info, so make sure you give it a read. If you don't know about SmiteGuru, go check that out. We now provide support for players in Latin America and Brazil through Level Up. Just type in your player name and check out those sweet, sweet stats. There's even more info on the left side for you to discover. Make sure to hit that subscribe button for more videos and leave us feedback for what you'd like to see in the future videos. It's all in the description, boys. Well, that does it for this week, everybody. See you next time, SmiteGururians. Winky face.